41 and authorize the write-off of uncollectible accounts. That's a sizable amount. Well,
This one ain't bad.
this one wasn't bad, but the ambulance was huge.
$200,000 plus dollars?
Write-off.
Uncollectible.
So that's pretty significant.
Question on that too, with that list, a number of them said to collections. Is it still in the process or has that finished and we can't?
Question for
Shari.
Shari.
At collections right now, so it'll stay there till we don't hardly get anything from it, but they're in collections.
So there is some possibility we could get some of it.
Yes, we do get some payments trickle in, yes.
And then where does that go, Shari? Just,
The bad debt ambulance income money that it just goes in back.
okay.
200,000.
We write that off about every year,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Significant.
But it didn't cost us $200,000. It didn't cost us $200,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're not
So
losing.
are there any questions with 24, 41, 42, or 43 that we need to discuss or have clarified before we go forward? Oh, boy. I just ran the thing down to 200, page 200 and something. Okay. All right, we're good to go there. Next would be a discussion and consideration of adopting or approving ordinance number 24-09, adopting restrictions on the use of fireworks. This is what you had a question on. And I think given the situation, I know the chief talked to, why don't you come up and talk to us about that?
Because I do have a question on it of, I support it, but it seems like it's an urgent situation. So what's arisen that it's a one-day notice on something like this?
Red flag.
Yeah, I consulted with the officer group, and in the future, I'll try not to get this on the agenda last minute. I'll try to forecast better what we anticipate being, but there's a couple of things that will prompt. So I took advice from our officer group as much as I could. One is seeing a number of grass fires start. So we start seeing grass fires, multiple grass fires on the 4th of July. And we're getting, every other day or so, we're seeing a small grass fire start. And we're always able to get there, we're able to get them out, but that's a trigger point. The other trigger point is weather. So red flag days being the most severe, we start seeing red flag days pop up when we start seeing these trends of hot, dry weather, and we put those together, and then with a little bit of intuition and advice from my officer group, say we're getting to a point now that the risk is high enough that we should propose to the council restricting fireworks in our hardest reach areas. So the areas that are probably at most at risk or hardest for us to reach will be the Radial Hill area, and then the areas of the Malad River bottoms. There's other areas with still tall grass that are also at risk, but we can generally get there and extinguish a fire start. But those are the areas that might be the hardest. And so being new, this being my first July here as the fire chief, was taking advice from my officer group, and they had advised that now would be the time to suggest to the council or recommend to the council that we go into restrictions in those areas.
So might I suggest that we come up with a standard, if you will, that if in the future certain things hit and it says this is going to be a bad time, automatically this resolute ordinance falls into place. You see what I mean? Instead of year to year to year, if we have so many red flag days and we have these indicators in place, we are going to restrict.
I could sit down with the officer group and see if we could come up with a formula that might be agreeable to you. It'd still be an ordinance or a resolution that you would have to pass. But if that's the request from the council, we could do some kind of a standing resolution that would be ongoing.
It seems like this is something sort of occurs. Last year, I think I heard that during heydays, it was 104 degrees. So these are, it's just going to happen like clockwork, especially up on Radio Hill and some of those drier places like that.
It's predictable that we're going to be hot and dry. But it's not always, it's not always the same. Some years are different than others, but I think it's predictable enough to say that it's hot and dry, that I can go with the officer group and come up with something that we might propose to you as an ongoing.
Yeah, I just think you ought to be able to make the call.
Yep.
Here we go, we're gonna restrict fireworks, and you don't need to go through us with some kind of an ordinance
Yep.
that allows you to make that decision.
I have seen that in my past where the standing resolution is that a fire warden or a fire chief has the authority
Yep,
to make that call. We currently don't have that, so
that's what I would encourage.
You're the
We
expert.
can look into that.
Yeah.
You're the expert.
We'll never want it up on Radio Hill, never on a July. The
Never
only
did.
time is New Year's, just the only time. Or the river bottoms, we never have, we always
No,
put it
we,
in.
we had a fire in the river bottoms and it was on New Year's Day.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I was there.
I mean,
It does
fires
happen.
in the cold.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Any questions, any other questions for the chief?
Nope.
Discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 24-44, appointing Lindsay Nesson as the Assistant City Manager. We had a meeting on this earlier, and any further questions or anything we need to bring out on that?
No, I'm gonna push that we move this to the consent agenda, and not as a resolution, but just that we consent to approve the city manager to move forward with that position. This is not something that needs, honestly, our resolution or anything. This is something the city manager can decide.
Okay. And that's the way we went through for the public. We went through the code, city code, and it is a position that can be appointed by the city manager. I think the mayor has some little say in that too, but the recorder is a little different story. That one is also resolution number 24-45, appointing Cynthia Nelson as the city recorder. So that's something that needs to be done resolution-wise, if I understood the discussion earlier. Okay, any questions with any of that? All
Or are
right.
we gonna change Lindsay's to the consent agenda, but keep Cynthia's on?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
But Cynthia will stay on the resolution because according to the code, it has to be that way, so.
So this is all process. We support you 100%.
We just don't wanna vote in case you screw it up, it ain't our fault.
Then we could blame him.
Said yes.
All right, then we swear in Cynthia as the new city recorder. And then in the consent agenda, then we'll move that item number E down to the consent agenda. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, but, and not a resolution.
But it's just a consent, it's
It's a
in the
consent,
consent.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Any questions with the May warrant register, financial statements? Any questions, council? Let's see, consideration of adopting resolution number 24-46, ratifying the Jack in the Box Tremonton Development Agreement. I'm kind of excited to hear about this one, so maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit about it, where things stand right now.
So I haven't had a chance to get into a whole lot. It's a standard development agreement that governs the installation of and construction of Jack in the Box here in town. We're excited about it. It's going to just be a great asset for us. We've seen sales tax numbers from other similar kind of places in town, and that'll be a welcome addition to our sales tax.
And it'll be on the west side of town.
That's correct.
Where the Denny's used to be?
I think so, yep,
Is that where it's going to be?
yep.
All right, review of the calendar. Why don't you bring that up real quick? We can, this will be kind of a boring meeting tonight.
Or maybe a short one.
Yeah,
Would that be nice?
that would be
Well, you got
nice.
RDA after, don't forget.
Oh, I gotta,
Make that short too.
Okay.
we do have heydays coming up, and if you don't mind, I've got a, all right. So Paul is saying that, you know, we're going to need to be on for the pancake breakfast. We're going to start at 7:30. This will be on Saturday morning, I'm sorry, excuse me. Saturday morning at 7:30. Jeannie Stevens Park. He'll have aprons and hats for all the council members. If your wives are planning to be there to help, he'll have, I guess, per food safety standards and everything, they'll need to be wearing hairnets. So,
Always classy in the hairnet.
Hats. They always wear hats.
or a hat. If they, I guess if we can wear hats, they
I
can
don't
wear
have to wear either.
Just
Is every-
from up here.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff, this is your first time, so we meet, just so you probably know what.
He
you know
come
the
out to
drill.
breakfast last
I
year.
ate there, yeah, last year.
So you know the drill. We'll be over there, everybody has their little station, and we flip pancakes and make, have eggs, and then Paul comes and has the sausage all prepared and everything.
Ham.
It'll be ham, not sausage.
Yeah, it's always been ham.
Always been ham, okay. Anyway, be there at 7:30 in the morning, ready to go.
I get to cook pancakes this year. I don't have to serve.
Who said?
Me?
Mayor didn't say.
Mayor?
What?
Do I get to move up to cooking instead of serving?
You could do whatever you need to do.
And then who puts on the community dinner, Mayor?
Okay, so that will be us.
That's Friday
Anybody
night.
that can help. That will be hot dogs. I can't remember the full meal. Potato salad, hot dogs. I know hot dogs and some salad and chips.
Hot dogs, salad, and chips, I think.
Yeah,
Salad, chips, and cookies.
Just chips and cookies.
just chips and cookies. Okay, and that'll be in the afternoon. And then I hope Zach has gotten. I don't know how many of you are involved in doing any of the events, but
What time is that, Friday?
Starts at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
6 PM?
on Friday.
Probably want to be there around 5:30, I think.
I won't be there Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Saturday. Is that Friday? That's Friday, isn't
We've
it?
helped on Friday before at night.
Friday evening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was over at the truck polls.
yeah,
Yeah. I didn't know this was going on.
okay.
I didn't either.
But you won't be
I
there
got
Saturday.
Signed up for a thing
Not in the
on Friday
morning.
night in Logan.
You're signed up?
I put money in a car show at Hyde Park. So I didn't know that we did it on Friday night.
I won't be there either. I'll be at the food booth for the Kiwanis Club at the truck polls.
Okay,
Me
very
too.
good.
On Friday evening.
I'll be
Well,
there
we'll-
Saturday. I'll be there.
We'll make it work. Let's see. Let's see, DRC, anything on the DRC? Jeff's not here tonight, so I guess we don't have anything there. Do we have anything?
No new stuff. It's just following through with the stuff that's been on the table for a while.
Okay. And then, of course, council reports. I do have a report again from Paul. He wanted to let us know that 1,000 North is proceeding on track. Staker Parsons have been really lenient about letting people, go back and forth up on there, up on the road. They're finishing up with the utilities. They should have those completed in the next little while, and so everything is on schedule. Road
Be
should be
open before
completed,
school, if I remember right.
open
correct?
before
So
school.
we got all the easements we needed.
Oh, yeah.
We got everything done.
There's
Yeah,
only one
we had
short.
one that was kind of a
Did that get
problem
worked
child.
out?
That's resolved.
Resolved.
Still need to go record it, but it's
Yeah.
signed. Just
It's
gotta get
signed?
it to the county.
Okay, good. Well, that's all I have. If there's anything else, let's break for 10 minutes and we'll, 9 minutes, and we'll start in 7 o'clock sharp. start a minute or two early and get the council meeting underway. We'd like to welcome everybody out this evening to our Tremont City Council. This is the policy meeting, and we appreciate you showing up and being here with us this evening. To start with, I'm going to offer the prayer. And then after that, we'll have Blair Westergaard is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father in heaven, as we come before thee at this time, we're thankful for the blessings which we have. We're grateful for the opportunity of being together in our city council meeting this evening. We're grateful for this community, for the chance to be able to live here and to participate. We're grateful for those who serve and for the police department, for the fire department, for those who make the everyday functions of the city operate so well. We pray for thy spirit and blessing to be with us here tonight, and bless us as we discuss matters pertaining to the city, and pray for thy spirit and that we might be able to be cooperative and understanding of each other's opinions. This we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's kind of tradition that we go around, and some of you are kind of new with us here this evening, so we'll go around and introduce some of the city staff, the council members, and make sure you kind of know who we are. Over here to my left, we have our city manager, who's been with us almost a month now and hasn't run off. So we're good there. Bill Kobabe, our city manager. Then we have council member Jeff Holt over here to my left. Council member Blair Westergaard, council member Lyle Vance, myself. Council member Brett Rohde and council member Wes Eastep. And then we have, we have Lindsay Nesser, our recorder. Paul Fulgen called and asked if he could be excused this evening. He wasn't going to be here, so he was excused. Police Chief Dustin Cordova, Fire Chief Brady Hanson, Cynthia, you're here with us this evening, the Deputy Recorder. Sarah Mormon, our Main Street manager, and I don't think Jeff is here with us.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I missed Shari. Excuse me, Shari. And I don't see Jeff here this evening. Jeff Sedahl, our planner. All right. Those are our. This is us, kind of a thing. So, council. We have a declaration of conflicts of interest, and before we do that, I just wanted to read something out of the state code, just so we all understand, what the conflicts of interest declaration means. Per state code, it just says any personal interest or investment that creates a conflict between the personal interests and the public and public duties. So as we go through as we do this week in and week out, just reflect on that a little bit and make sure you understand the agenda. If there is a conflict, you can declare that conflict. Doesn't mean you can't vote, but you just need to make a declaration of that conflict.
So Mayor, I'm glad you clarified that, because last meeting, I did not declare conflict of interest, where I'm a full-time employee of the city and we give COLA raises. I probably should have, still would have voted, but I'm sorry I missed that.
Well, and I think we all just need a reminder of that as we're going through. Yeah, Jeff?
If you would reference a city ordinance as well, not just a state statute.
Yeah, okay. Very good. All right, Well, declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest with the agenda that we have tonight, council? Approval of the agenda.
There you go, Brett, you got your.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda, except for line E.
Move that to the consent.
Yeah, but when we come to that, I'll just make a motion that will change that. So I don't know that, I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Okay.
I second it.
Motion by Brett and seconded by Lyle Vance. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, agenda has been approved. Approval of the minutes from June 18th of 2024.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for June 18th, 2024.
I'll second it.
Motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Wesley Step. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments. This is an opportunity to address the city council regarding your concerns or ideas. We're asking you to keep your comments to under 3 minutes. Time is now yours.
Hello, friends, I'm Bill. I know you remember me. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bill, live down on 960 South, been here, I think, a little over 3 years now. I want to talk to you about code enforcement tonight. It's my understanding that we have one officer for code enforcement, and we have one person dealing with animals. That's not satisfactory. We need, in my humble opinion, we need at least 2 people dealing with animals, and I would like to see code enforcement tripled. To go after those, my favorite pet peeve, park trailers on the road where they shouldn't be, as well as other codes that are being violated. Law enforcement has a lot to deal with. Drugs, domestics, you name it. We just don't have enough manpower.
Sorry.
Okay, maybe I should have spoken my Marine voice, and then I wouldn't have to worry about a mic. But that's just it, we need manpower. And the other thing, when it comes to dealing with animal control, that gal, Julie, that's doing that right now, she's got a job that can go south in a hurry. In my humble opinion, anybody dealing with animal control needs to be trained and needs to be armed with a firearm. There are occasions where animals get, well, some dogs out there are pretty darn vicious. And that's a tool that needs to be afforded to them, again, with the proper training. We got to make sure that we're hiring people that are competent, that have the judgment, and the training, and the forethought, and then we need to back them up. Dogs are a problem. I've talked to you guys in the past about that. I've run into issues myself. Don't want to shoot nobody's dog. There's a leash law statewide. People need to abide by it. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is fireworks. I want to touch on that. I've been gritting my teeth and not saying anything for a while, but fireworks are getting a little bit out of hand with all the aerial stuff in the neighborhood. And I would be in favor of at least restricting the aerial fireworks to a certain area like the fairgrounds and the golf course. Limited area where that they could be lit off. There's a lot of debris in my yard that I found, burnt fireworks. Nothing I lit off. I quit buying fireworks, too expensive. But I don't want to pick up the debris, and I don't want to wake up with my house on fire either.
Okay. Bill, your time is up. Could you maybe take a few minutes and talk to the fire chief, and maybe you can share some of your,
We've
Okay.
talked about it.
All
I
right.
wanted to address it with you guys too.
Okay, we appreciate your time, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for those comments, Bill. New council business, discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 24-41, authorizing the write-off of uncollectible accounts receivable for utility services in the enterprise funds, fire truck cleanup in the fire fund for fiscal year 2024. Shari, do you have anything to add to any of that other than what we have in our minute or in our write-up?
No.
You don't have anything else? Okay. Council, any questions for Shari or Bill? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-41.
I'll second it.
Motion by Wes and seconded by Blair. Wes, we'll start with
Wes,
you.
aye.
Brett, aye.
Lyle Vance, aye.
Blair, aye.
Jeff Hody.
Thank you, council. Discussion and consideration of approving resolution number 24-42, authorizing the write-off of uncollectible accounts receivable for ambulance billings for fiscal year 2024 in the Fund 28 Fire Department. Again, Shari, do you have anything to add to any of this? Okay, council?
Is that about typical, Shari? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's two,
Our budgeted amount was like 260,000 this year for bad debt.
only 221 or
Well,
something?
there's monthly ones that I do too when I do the financials. It's not that much. It's like 3 or 4 grand.
And we just try everything we can, and then pretty quick you just gotta write them off, right?
It's common throughout all the health industry.
Oh, yeah.
They write off 60% pretty well of collectibles.
Okay, discussion, we didn't vote, did we? Okay, let's see, Brett?
No, we didn't. Nobody's,
We didn't put it to a motion? I thought I did.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 24-42.
Second it.
Motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Brett. Brett, go ahead.
Brett, aye.
Lyle Vance, aye.
Blair, aye.
Jeff Hody.
Wes, aye.
Thank you. Discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 24-43, amending the professional service agreement between Tree Mountain City and Jessica Tanner for creation of written minutes for public meetings for Tree Mountain City's public bodies.
We didn't talk about this. Is this just an extension or is there more to it?
I think,
Oh, it's just like for these town hall meetings, we thought that the steering committee was going to be public every week too. So it's just, she would tack on an extra $25 if we have a special meeting like that she has to
Okay.
do the minutes for. I don't see it happening often, but it does take a long time to type up minutes. They say 2 hours to type an hour of recorded minutes, so.
Well, she does a good job for
She
us.
does a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really does. I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 24-43 for Jessica.
I second it.
motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Blair Westergaard. Let's see, Lyle?
Lyle Vance, aye.
Blair, aye.
Jeff Hody.
Wes, aye.
Brett, aye.
Thank you, everybody. Discussion and consideration of adopting ordinance number 24-09, adopting restrictions on the use of fireworks within certain areas of Tree Mountain City. We've discussed this in our work session, so I don't know, do you have any other questions for the chief?
I do. How far away from the Malad River? My house is over there. Whatever's just past my house is where it ought to be.
There's a map right there.
Just within the red mapped area. So
It's just the river bottoms.
not far, it's just in the river bottoms themselves. Yeah. So close to where you're at, but I think you're still okay, Blair. I think you still
I'm
saw
not
fireworks.
okay. I found the same stuff in my yard that I don't like either. See that house that burned down in Layton
From fireworks, yeah.
last night, was it?
It started in some undeveloped ground next to the home and then blew into the home and burned the house down yesterday.
Chief, you got extra patrol? 4th of
We've
July,
got shifts
24th?
open. We're working on getting those filled for the 24th. Yep.
But full disclosure, we did not fill all of the extra shifts. We didn't get them all covered on the 3rd and 4th of July. So we tried to get them filled, but we didn't get them all filled. So
Can you go mandatory with your,
we could, we could. Typically, I've only pushed for mandatory for the regular shifts, but we could consider mandatory for the extra shifts.
I think sometimes, I mean, you just don't know how many of the guys that are coming back are gonna come back or out of town or whatever, and you can't really force your part-timers.
Yeah.
I think it's just a thought. I don't wanna make them mad and all that, but, mandatory overtime in a
Yeah.
lot of jobs.
When,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
would
My
be the
job
biggest day?
Saturday?
Saturday?
I think it's not always consistent. It depends on where the holiday falls in conjunction with the weekend. So if the holiday falls on the weekend, that's the big day. But sometimes, now my history is based on other communities' experience. But when I worked in Logan, the biggest fireworks day tended to be on the weekend more than the holiday itself.
And the law is 2 days before
So
or 1 day after?
the state law says fireworks are legal on the holiday plus 3 days before and 3 days after. So it's a 7-day window. And then the biggest use of those fireworks is sometimes on the holiday, but frequently within that 7-day window that they're legal, where does the weekend fall? We do extra staffing on the holiday itself.
Do we have, are people taking advantage of that? Where are we at, are they doing it past that window or before the window?
I think across the city, there's fireworks being shot off every night that is legal, and occasionally when it's not. But generally, every night of that 7, someone's shooting off fireworks. But I think we'll tend to see the most fireworks both on the 24th and on the weekend, which I have to look at.
19th.
Yeah, the 19th.
19th and 20th.
Just so the public knows, because we had the conversation at the workshop and some of the council members asked for it, we'd like the chief to put together a proposal where he would have the authority to declare these things on a much more ready basis than having to wait for our council meetings to do this. And he's the expert when the risk is up too high. So we're looking forward to seeing
We'll be
that.
happy to make that proposal very soon. And we feel like the other areas this year will have a fighting chance to get access, because there is fires. They do start fires. We have a pretty good chance of getting to those fires. But there are areas that are really hard for us to get to, and that's what we put in the map. That's historically what has been proposed, but we could definitely reevaluate those and reevaluate our process. Yeah, we'd welcome that for sure.
Okay, thank you, chief. Council?
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 24-09.
Second?
Motion by Wes and seconded by Jeff. Let's see, Blair?
Blair, aye.
Jeff Hodi?
West side.
Vance, aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 24-44, appointing Lindsay Nesson as the Assistant City Manager.
So this is the one where I think it's just a matter of process. I think that the assistant city manager reports to the city manager, and it's not called out in any resolution or whatnot that that person needs to come before us for approval. And so I would suggest that I would make a motion that we table this resolution and put it down in a consent agenda as, for your information, I'm going to hire Lindsay as my assistant manager, FYI, type thing. But it feels like it's an administrative decision, not a legislative decision. And we trust you and your capability to make that decision.
Thank you.
So that would be my motion, is that we table that resolution.
Second?
A motion by Brett and seconded by Jeff. Let's see, Jeff?
I don't think that's a vote if it's not a resolution, is it?
Well, we have to vote on the change, don't we? Maybe it's a technicality, but let's just go ahead and vote on the change, and we're moving it down to the consent agenda.
West side.
Yeah, Brett, I.
All Vance, aye.
It's
Blair, aye.
confusing. All right, thank you. I'm not totally sure we did that exactly the way it should be, but the gist of gist of what we're doing is we're just tabling it here and moving it down to the consent agenda.
Well, we're not moving the resolution.
We're not moving the
Not
resolution.
moving the resolution, but we're doing the, consenting that Lindsay is the
Yeah.
Assistant City Manager. Holy cats. Okay, discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 24-45, appointing Cynthia Nelson as the city recorder. Now, this one's a little different because this is in the code. So, any questions or discussion on this?
I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2445.
Second
I'll
it.
second it.
A motion by Brett and seconded by Lyle Vance and Wes Eastep. Let's see, back to you.
West side.
Brett, I.
All Vance, aye.
Blair, aye.
Jeff Odi.
Welcome aboard.
Woo!
Yeah, that's good. Okay, now we get to do the fun part. We're going to do the swearing in. So I guess it'll be your last official.
Do you have to swear out?
She always does.
Just swears not to do
It's
anything.
swore in so you can get swore at.
Oh, I get swore out all the time.
She didn't swear and do it.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Awesome.
Woo!
That one, and I'll keep this one. Yep.
Thank you.
Well,
Tell her what kind
Welcome.
of pizzas I like and stuff, any kind.
I'll get you.
Okay. I forgot to send the roll.
Congratulations, Cynthia.
Thank you.
so is it once a city recorder, always a city recorder, or do?
Did you see that look she gave you?
Okay, all right. Consent agenda, item number 9, adoption of the May warrant register. Council, any questions with the warrant register? Or the finance?
Do we need, okay, excuse me.
I was just going to say the,
Down through all of them?
yeah,
We normally don't.
you just,
We normally don't go through them all. That's the reason we bunched them together, so that we could just say,
okay.
but you're the mayor, you can do what you want.
Well, I started. So the financial statements, the ratifying the Jack in the Box, and then I guess what I wanted to make sure we do is with Lindsay and that appointment there. So
I
I'll
make
let
a
you guys-
motion that we ratify the consent agenda, A, B, and C.
and D with, well, D would be
Oh,
Lindsay.
with Lindsay, yeah, and D.
Second.
Motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Jeff. Was you? Let's see.
So just an all in favor too,
Roll
'cause-
call. 'cause
All in favor?
Aye.
oh, there is? Oh, better be fair. Okay.
Yeah, probably. Brett, I.
Lyle Vance, aye.
Blair, aye.
Jeff Odi.
West side.
Good thing this thing's getting close to the end here. We're, okay.
Here since.
Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Let's see, calendar items. Review of the calendar. We just have the heydays coming up. We're excited about that. That's going to be fun, and I understand the temperature's not going to be quite as hot as it was last year. They were told it was 104 degrees last year. Nice, cool 97 degrees this year. So,
The one thing that we didn't get on there was the farmer's market on the 3rd.
and the farmer's
Is that
market on the
the-
3rd. Yep.
Maybe a little bit of produce in August, maybe.
We should start seeing produce. Yeah, some of the early stuff should start coming on. Next city council meeting will be on the 6th of August. So, any questions with any of that? Were there any unfinished business items that we needed to discuss? We have. All right. Administration reports. Bill?
Just really briefly, wanted to talk about some of the things I've done in the extensive time I've had here at the city. The mayor and the city planner and I went with Paul on a tour of the water facilities in the city, and that was one of the more interesting experiences of my young life. It he took us to places that I didn't know that you could take a car, and I was glad that he had a truck. We saw 5 million gallons of water tank storage that we have in the city. We saw pump houses and well houses and treatment facilities, and we're in good shape. And I was pleased to see how well things are going. They need to work. We're not done, but we're doing well. I've been over to the police department and been fingerprinted. I recruited some of the fire department to help me move a couch into my office. I was over at the senior center and got a peanut butter bar. It was really good. I showed up right after lunch and it was perfect. If you're ever looking for a little dessert, they probably have a little bit left over. Recommend heading over there. Took a tour with Zach of the different parks and facilities that we have available and got a rundown of some of the recreation activities and things that are going on in the city. It was really exciting. I've been over to the library probably 4 times because I love that building. What an incredible asset we have here in the city. I attended the farmer's market. My wife and I handed out hot dogs and water bottles and cut up watermelon for people. I've been part of a Main Street committee that has met several times and is working to address some of the concerns and opportunities that are there. And to top it all off, I got to go meet with the school board, and the mayor and Jeff and I went down there. Not this Jeff, the Jeff Sedal went down, and it was an interesting experience. So we've been working and learning a lot, still getting my feet underneath me and learning the ropes, as it were. I have seldom met in my nearly 20 years of working in city government, I have seldom met a more dedicated, professional, and passionate group of people that work for the city, and I am honored every day to work with them. It's been a real pleasure, and I am grateful for the opportunity. One other thing that was brought up to me that I needed to address is that the code specifically talks about getting items on the agenda. If you would please get to me and or Lindsay and or Cynthia items for the agenda in writing so that we can make sure that we get those on. Honestly, I dropped the ball on a council member had a request for a couple of agenda items and they didn't get on for this agenda. So we're going to get them on for the next one. But just it would help us all out if we got that notification from y'all in writing.
Good time frame.
Well, we put the agenda together. We sent it out the Friday before the meeting. We'd like it the Tuesday before so that we have time, staff has time to review and respond to any requests for information. So if you could get it to us the week before the meeting, that would help us out a lot.
Thank you. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
Thank you. And I just want to tell you how much we are thrilled to have you on board, and it's been a great experience, and you're doing a great job. We appreciate it. DRC, anything to? I thought I heard somebody say we didn't have anything on DRC. We're good there. Department head reports and comments. Let's see. Dustin, do you want to start us off?
All right. So just a couple things I want to cover real quick. I think Bill's doing a really good job. He took the time to come over, meet the troops, and talk in front of a tough crowd, and it was really good. So they appreciate it, and I appreciate that. Aside from that, I'm going to give you guys a little summary of last month's stats. As far as calls for service, we had 1,001 total incidents in Tremont and Garland. 51 were animal problems, 10 family fights. I'm not going to read all the sheet because it's pretty cumbersome. 1 aggravated assault, 18 code enforcement cases, and we actually arrested the new Box Elder Most Wanted. So 1 fugitive arrest. We completed 2 search warrants for child sex crimes. We had a total of 51 animal problems, 11 domestics, and 125 traffic cases. So just something to highlight the last month. Guys are really getting after it. They're highly motivated, and we're seeing really good results. We integrated a new thing. It's called Know Your Force. I briefed you on it a little bit, but basically it allows our community to give us feedback, and that allows us as administrators to identify potential problems. So on the back of every card, there will be a scan that they can do, and it will lead them to a survey, and they can leave some comments. The guys were a little freaked out. It's going to be required by state law pretty soon here. But so far, it's been really good. As of today, we had a total of 31 reviews, and we've only been operating with it for about 2 weeks. We have a 4.9 out of 5-star rating and 100% positive feedback. So it's been great. Lots of love from our community, which we appreciate. The other thing I wanted to bring up and kind of put on your radar is I'm going to ask the city manager to put us on the agenda next time. We would like to present some options with our fleet that has the potential to save us about $100,000 every year for the foreseeable future. So we'll talk about it and see what we can work with, but we're always trying to find ways to give back and help cut that budget. The last thing, probably the most important thing, is the lemonade competition. Right now, we are completely dominating Brigham, 21-4. I think maybe even 22 after talking to Sarah. So 22-5. Okay, I stand corrected. Really good, great PR. Guys are getting out there, but yeah, it's not even a competition at this point. So, is there any questions for me? Cool. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Thanks, Dustin. Let's see, Brady, do you have anything else you want to share with us?
Just a couple of things, real quick. Thanks for the support on the fireworks restrictions in those high-risk areas. And then probably the most pertinent thing is we're just in the process now of opening up or advertising for a new hiring process. We're going to add, as we lose people, we need to get them replaced. We're gonna replace probably 4 or 5 part-time positions to kind of get us back up a little bit so we can cover our special events a little bit better. And then we have 1 full-time vacancy. So we'll put on a hiring process the first week of September to get those positions filled. So that's probably our most pertinent thing on the calendar right now. Thank you.
One thing, Chief,
Yes.
we get a report from the police sent to the council.
Uh-huh.
Do you have your guys send the fire? I mean, I know
Yeah,
where
yeah.
to find it, but
Yeah.
sometimes when I get it, I pay a little more attention to it. Will you get them just to put us on a
Absolutely.
email or
On a regular report.
on the weekly reports?
You got? Happy to do that.
Sometimes I know I get asked questions, and I assume the others do as well. So the more we're aware, we can respond.
Be aware.
when we're contacted.
Absolutely. No, it'd be good. Thank you for that.
Okay. Shari, do you have anything for us?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Lindsay, do you want to
A farewell and a welcome.
farewell and a welcome?
Keep doing what I do.
Okay. Cynthia, anything?
I appreciate your support.
Thank you. All right, council reports. Why don't we start over here with you, Wes?
I see the benches are out. They got the benches on Main. They look good. And our flower water boy is doing a wonderful job. Them flowers are thriving.
That's Logan. I met him one of my first days working here.
Did you?
And boy, he was happy.
He is a happy kid
He
and
just couldn't be more pleased.
he don't miss a barrel or nothing. And, so they look good this year.
You look really good. He's fertilizing,
Every Monday.
every Monday, yeah. Waters every day?
Yeah, well, 6
Not on
days,
The weekend?
6 days a week.
6
You don't water on Sundays. And let's see, I might have to think, because I thought I had something, but I didn't write it down. I might have to come back.
Okay. Brett?
So, the deal with the proposed annexation going out west of town, which
Yeah.
did not get put on the agenda, which needed to be put on the agenda. Jeff Sedal was supposed to put it on there. Anyway, we need to talk about that, and I know we thought we were gonna get out of here early, but, you gotta let me do some talking here.
Talk away.
Lindsay, is there any way you can bring a map up of Tremont? And we used to have the big one up here on the wall. So what the idea here is, everybody's aware that Mark Allred is building those houses out there on Eagles Place. I don't know the name of the street going out there, but they've already filled every possible lot up that you can do. And you can see now that he's coming to the east and he's building more houses in there, and the county has already approved, subject to whether or not we're willing to annex in or not, those, I don't know how to communicate so the public can know what I'm talking about here too. I almost need a stick
I'll go get you one.
to point out what's going on.
Got a pointer?
An old car antenna
Oh,
Hey, all right.
or something, I don't know what it is.
So we just need to get a feel. This is not, we're not asking for an approval or anything, but there's a ton of money sitting on the table. The developer has already had to purchase $1.3 million in water taps. That can be converted back into cash if we're willing to annex him in. And the real question here is, how much is it gonna cost to get sewer and water out there? And also, Bill, you need to be inserting in here too. The other question is that we need to offer some type of secondary water, which makes it complicated because they're so far out of town.
Yeah.
And the whole driver behind this thing is because of what our current county health inspector has talked about. He came from Vernal. You remember the story? Vernal had a subdivision come in and want to be annexed into the city, and they were too far out of the city, and so they didn't annex them. And then about 3 years later, they have brown water on the ground because they were all on septic tanks. And we got a real similar situation here because this is clay ground. So anyway, what happened in Vernal is that the state came in after these people started getting sick from bad water and made Vernal City bring them in and bring sewer at their expense. You know, it was $6 million that cost the city because they didn't annex them. So I got this fear inside of me. I know dang well this property out here, you know,
or they can see over there. We should know where it's at and all that.
this has always been dead ground out here. Where are we?
Zoom out
Right
a
on
little
it.
bit.
Right in front of you.
Zoom out a little bit.
Can you, expand it a little bit more, expand it? Right, there we go. So this is what we're talking about here, this line of houses. He's now trying to develop, you can see it in here, these houses coming in. He's got access to this property right here and this property right here. You guys need to see that. Mark thinks he's gonna retire, and I'm sure he's online listening to this. I mean, he's building this area up right here, and he's already got this ground committed and this ground committed for more lots, okay? Okay, the water that we've got, actually the sewer comes across here right past that hotel, is butted up against the freeway right here. We can come across, and they've taken a look at this thing, long discussion, but we can bring that sewer and line over here to this area where these lots are gonna be developed right here and here. Namely, these ones right here, at a cost, and this is
Here,
what our
this is the engineer's estimate right here.
engineer's estimate to do that. Okay, now, you need to understand how Chris does this. Chris is our engineer, city engineer. He's at 3.4 million to bring both sewer and water out to that area. And he puts a 30% contingency in there. This drives me nuts, okay? Because it drops it down to 2.6 million. So what he's saying is that he thinks it's gonna cost 2.6 million, but as an engineer, he wants to be careful and tell us that it could cost more, okay, up to 3.4 million. Bottom line is it's 2.6 million, which is less than what we've been talking about. So if Mark converts those water shares, when I say convert, they're an asset that could be sold off. Basically, the longer he holds them, he's probably gonna be worth more money. But he's got to know from us if we're thinking about annexing him or not. Otherwise, he's gonna start building these houses on the get-go and start using these water taps is what he's.
Now,
gonna
that's
be
West
doing.
Grand Water? Is that West
It's
Grand
West
Water?
Grand Water.
Yeah.
So he's been waiting in line for those things and he's picked up, I think, 32 of them is what he's picked up.
$30,000
He
a
was still
share.
there, $34,000 a piece now.
So you can see, so he's actually had to purchase them because he was in line and then this came up. So I'm the guy trying to see if we can do this thing because they're just over a mile out of town. And we know this area right here has been, all of this ground right in this area is probably the worst clay in the whole valley. So, you know, when you're talking to the contractor and the only time they can perk is in the fall time, they don't even want to perk any other time of the year for obvious reasons. We're gonna have sewer problems out there, just as sure as you and I are standing here. Now, there are people in town that think that this is how you can control growth. And the way I look at it is this is protecting health in our area and also potential liability from the state, because if they do get brown water out here, you know dang well the state's gonna come in and make us do it anyway, so we might as well get the developer to help participate in the money.
Is that is our final annexation line, is that 60 or,
No, it's out a little further west of Salt Creek.
It goes to 9,200.
Or,
oh, goes to 92?
So, so the question, you know, is bringing water across and who's gonna pay for it? That's been the issue here. Who's gonna pay for the,
What are the size of the lots that he's putting in there?
they're all different sizes at this point. Plus what's gonna happen is if it's county, some of those lots were, over a half acre to 3/4. But if we annex, it's gonna look like city lots. They're gonna put a lot more lots in is what's gonna happen. So the question why this has been messed with and not just, you know, brought to the table is because who's gonna pay for this? 2.4 million and on up to 3.4 with contingencies and that type of stuff. And so, you know, we've been talking about it and the idea is that, you know, the developer should pay for it, okay? And so we've never done this in Tremont City, but we talked about a pioneer agreement. So what that means is it's gonna cost, you know, 2.6 million to bring sewer and water out to the spot at this point. And then what's gonna happen is anybody who connects to it with sewer and water from that point on would have to pay, we would forego the,
Impact fees.
impact fees for water and sewer, and it would go to pay back the contractor until he was paid back the amount of money he had to come out of pocket with. Exactly
this is
what
not-
we did on the CDA.
And just to make sure that people understand, you know, he's going to pay for all of his infrastructure in his development. What we're talking about is getting the infrastructure to him. Is that correct? Is that the way you look
We're
at
talking about
it?
him getting infrastructure to himself.
To him. Well, that's what I'm saying.
2.6 million.
Right.
So he sells those water shares, so he's gotta come up with another, you know, half of that, 1.5 million out of pocket to make this thing work. But, you know, he's got to know, having a surety from us, that we're willing to look at a pioneer agreement, which we've never done before, so that he knows he's gonna get his money back.
We had a, part of that development agreement with River's Edge had something similar built into it with the impact
It was
fees.
the upsize.
Yeah, there's two parts to it.
Would help.
There's two parts to it. The one is if you're paying them to build a bigger pipe in the ground that they would have to put in anyway, that's an upsize agreement. The pioneering agreement is what Lyle's talking about. That gets us from, we're gonna service only our 20 little lots instead of, you know, we're anticipating this entire area to grow out you know, with 1,000 lots, and we want to make sure that we have enough capacity and to make sure that the developer gets whole on the other side of that for putting in our infrastructure.
I'm gonna,
Sorry.
I'm gonna,
I've still got I guess I'm still kind of thinking, you know, we got to get the infrastructure to them. We got to go under the freeway and get it over to that area. And then there needs to be a lift station, correct? There has to be a lift station to pump it back toward the sewer plant. Those things, that infrastructure to get it over to him, that's what we're talking about, correct? Am I thinking right?
Well, and.
And the lift station.
Yeah, I'm not sure the lift station's part of this. I mean, I'm just looking at this right now for the first time here tonight.
Let me
Anyway,
show
there
you.
needs to be a lift station because you have to lift the sewer back up past the freeway to get so that it can, you know, gravity flow down to our sewer system and that type of stuff. All of that should be part of this because it's been in the discussion. So the lift station should be part of this thing. The only thing that's not part of it, I can see, and again, Mark, I'm sure he's listening, is that the secondary water is gonna have to be somehow configured by the contractor too.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. This is a stretch, you know, so our city engineer and Paul, everybody's, you know, just, you know, they're just hesitant because it's so far out of town, you're just over 1 mile. But in turn, the story you hear from Vernal is like, we're looking at the same issue. So we ought to be considering this is why I think this should have been brought before us. And again, this is not an approval, this is not saying we approve it, but are we interested? That's what the question is here tonight.
I have a horde of questions that go along with this thing now. And you already know where I feel about all the annexations and where the public's told me they're at on the annexations and where the state survey has come in on this issue as well and shown where the majority is at in not supporting this type of thing. But the cost, which I will continue to go after, I want to know what the cost is going to be to the city. Police response to emergency responses, you don't patrol outside the city boundaries. You can't enforce the city ordinances outside the city boundaries. There is an additional cost when you annex to these agencies, these departments that we administer. And I want to know that. And Vernal is a scare tactic. That's one town in the entire state. And what's the state statute on the distance that forced Vernal to have to annex that area?
Miles,
It's up to,
close to 3 miles.
thank you. And if you could give me a reference on the statute, I'd love it because I love laws.
I highly, you know, I disagree by scare tactic because that was something that actually.
It's one time in the entire state.
So fire
And after
that
what
type of
time
stuff-
period? You're not going into details, so what time period was that subdivision there before the town had to annex them?
Here or what, 2 months ago?
I know he was, the town of Vernal. So how long was that subdivision existing before the town had to incorporate it?
Questions now so we can look on.
I know, but these are questions that should be asked before we take action, is my point. I want to know those things. I may be a lone duck and still not supporting it because it's not what the majority of the public wants, but I would like us to make an informed decision at least about what the expenses are going to be to us, and real expenses,
Yeah.
so that when we go out there,
Question, can I?
please.
In the middle of yours.
You went a long time, so I was trying to take an equal time. That's all I was doing.
This is his,
So the question I've got is, aren't we responsible to take care of police problems, whether they're annexed or not? I mean, you
Emergency,
just
not
made a
normal
comment that
patrols
we
or
can't
enforcement. You
patrol.
don't enforce the city ordinances outside the city boundaries, I assume.
Yeah, at the expense of being in a vicarious situation between two council members, I will say this. One of the benefits of how we've ran the department is we have a mutually beneficial relationship with the county. So they come and help us and we go and help them, almost like a brotherhood. But as far as like proactive patrol and stuff, generally we won't, but most of our calls end up being 911 response and most of the time we will. So yeah, whether they're a part of the city or not, we end up there inevitably, especially with the county having staffing issues. Sometimes their guys are on the other side of the world and we're the first ones there. And inevitably, we will take those calls. But in return, when we have that big emergency, they're there for us as well.
So with the high number of citations for traffic violations, you're enforcing outside the city boundaries, the city ordinance?
No, just like I said before, proactive patrol, code, like, traffic enforcement. things
I
like
get
that.
the emergency response and the agreements. I've lived that myself. I get that.
So, yeah, generally, no, we're not outside of the city doing traffic enforcement or things of that nature. But most of our calls still tend to be those 911 response, and we'll go to help them when they need a back or even be there first to stabilize the scene.
And my point is, if we annex and we have another community or an addition to the community of neighborhoods, you're going to be patrolling those when you wouldn't normally be patrolling that area.
Yeah, we would.
So there is an added cost. That's my point. In personnel, in supplies, equipment, those types of things, there's added cost. Those are the types of things I'd love to get my hands on of what it will cost the community when we do things like this.
Same with fire, Brady, is that?
For ambulance service, that's our first due area. We cover it.
Mm-hmm.
It's our area. It's outside of our city, but our ambulance covers way outside of our city.
Mm-hmm.
And so we cover it one way or another.
And the way I think is that, these people that are gonna come in there, you bar the health problem, and then they're gonna be helping pay for the police and for the fire. That's the way I look at it.
My thing is, and I agree with not doing it, but they're gonna do the subdivisions anyway. So then we don't have a say.
And that was another question with the county. Has the county already approved the developments?
So we have to deny it first before they will let him pull permits.
And then the county will or maybe would allow the construction?
Their
As long as he
discretion.
has a water tap, they will let a lot come in.
So if we were not to annex it, you feel certain that the county will let them develop anyhow?
Already
Yeah,
does.
they will.
I had lunch with, or breakfast rather, with Scott Lyons, who's the Community Development Director for the county. And he's made no bones about it, that they can't deny it. If they meet the requirements as set forth in the county ordinance, they will develop.
Got it. And then my question comes back, and I get it. So potentially in the future, you could end up in a vernal situation. Not a guarantee, but it's a potential.
It's
And
like-
again, I'm curious of the longevity of the community that was there before they were.
It's likely, and the
forced
reason
to
I say
annex.
it's likely is because, again, in that conversation with Scott Lyons, he said, this is a terrible place for development. The ground is not suitable for septic systems, and the enforcement and the oversight by the county, and I don't mean to poor mouth anyone at the county, but the enforcement and oversight at the county on these types of things is minimal. And again, the concern is that we're gonna have to go in after and effect an expensive cleanup, which is what they had to do in Vernal. Now, that's a cautionary tale. It's not indicative of what we will experience here, but it's a cautionary tale and something that we should learn from and take advantage of.
Here at the conflict, so the public has told me the three best things about this town. Number one, the people, friendliness.
Yeah.
Number two, small town feel. Number three, it's a farm community. And this takes away farms.
This is
Well, it'll happen anyway. I mean, it's, the development is going, the
Yeah,
county
he owns
does it
it
or
now.
the,
I hear you, again, for me, and I could be alone, but I'm hearing from the public in multiple venues that they've liked our community the way it's been, not in this incredibly fast change. When you compare our growth to any other community here in northern Utah, we blow them all away in population growth.
But here's
We've created that environment.
Here's
How
the
come everybody
question.
else isn't going through this? Why is it just Tremont?
So, yeah, we're getting into discussions here that's beyond this point, but we haven't developed it. It's called economics. Okay, it's cheaper up here than it is when you go further south.
Brigham City.
Yeah, I mean,
City's full.
it's more
Perry,
expensive than
Medlock.
Brigham City. Oh, Jeff. Anyway, we'll get you some
Hey,
numbers on that.
Please.
I got a thing, if he's buying the 32 water shares from Korean, that's $1 million.
Yeah, 1.3 million is what,
So, I don't know if you want to, if you have to give all that back. I mean, we still got to have some, I mean, don't we get a little revenue by having all them houses in our city?
the only revenue you get is the real estate taxes, which basically doesn't pay. It still costs us money in the long run. But, if we wanna put our heads in the sand and ignore it and potentially have Vernal's problem, whether it be a scare tactic or not, it's there, and I wanna go on record that I was trying to make sure that we were protecting Tremont City by doing this. And that's why I wanted to bring it to city council.
County's gonna do it anyway.
You know, my idea is
That's no problem.
if the contractor can
We don't have a city.
can pay for it and we can do a pioneer agreement with him, we ought to be looking into it. That's what I think. But if it's gonna be a turn down right here, he needs to know so he can get going.
Not gonna be a turn.
Well, and I go back to what that doctor from the health department kept saying, and how did he put it, that the best thing to do is to make sure that we're, not putting on septic tanks, but we're getting sewer out there, I can't remember the wordage he used. Do you remember, Connie, what he said?
I don't remember, it's my son-in-law.
Yeah. He just, and that's what kind of gets to me is, it's like, well, we got the health department telling us the right thing to do is to move forward with a sewer system. And so that's where my conflict comes, is following what he's suggesting.
Better than a septic tank.
Thanks, Lyle.
So are we interested or not?
Well, I think we gotta look at it.
Looking at,
I think,
pursuing it, just to,
I know that we'd have to go out there and plow them roads and put up road signs and all that kind of stuff as far as public works. Secondary is gonna be a little tough to get there too.
But we don't
have to
have-
get some easements to get out.
Yeah, we gotta look at the costs, but I think it needs to be looked at.
You know?
Personally, I think we need to look
Yeah, I think
before we
it's,
can make a decision.
Let's get some numbers we've got some numbers here, we got, maps, and maybe we need to take it to the next step but he's wanting to move.
well, yeah.
Right away, so-
This is real money, and if we're not gonna respond, he's gonna go ahead and do it. We need to say, no, we don't wanna annex you, so he can get on with his life, or not. I mean, get off the pot or not type thing,
yeah.
So here, yeah.
so he can function.
Hey,
Not an agenda item for a vote.
no, we can't, make a decision on that, but we can kind of,
That's unfortunate, because it should have been on the agenda. And at the expense of 1.3 million to the contractor. He was told it was gonna be on the agenda tonight, and I was told it was gonna be too.
Do we need to put together a special session or something, or is he good waiting until the 6th of August?
Well, like I said, this is not an approval. This is just saying, if we're not interested, we just need to let him know. I think we got the answer. You just need more information.
yeah, I think so. I'm wondering if we can have a special, do we need to call a special meeting? We can call a special meeting
Have a fifth Tuesday this month. The 30th.
and get this, put together, get this, decision made. I would suggest that that's what we do. We call a special meeting and, get this decision made. Because all you have to do is get it,
Well, we need
announced.
To get the numbers.
We need a
yeah.
bunch of
We
numbers.
need, we need the numbers,
Yeah.
but we,
24 hours notice. for an agenda.
24 hours notice, we can call a meeting. So we looked at maybe that fifth Tuesday.
Mayor, would you check with the council and make sure everyone's available that night? So we have a quorum?
When were you traveling?
What night are you doing it?
30th.
Fifth Tuesday.
I'm around.
We got everybody in town that night?
I think I am.
You around? Jeff?
A conflict, but I'll have to see if I can get out of
Do you
the
have
other
a
one.
conflict? Blair?
I don't know. I don't show it on my calendar, but for some reason I get something that day. I'm probably available.
All right. Maybe Lindsay, Cynthia, see if we can get something put together on that.
We can get that
Special
put
meeting.
together.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're to Blair, aren't we?
I think we're to Blair. Yeah, we are.
For me?
Where do you,
I don't have anything.
okay, Jeff?
Two items I was hoping to have on the agenda tonight, but didn't make it, so I'll just mention the topics and we'll hold the conversation hopefully later. One of the things that I was required to do under the governors I worked for, as well as the last president I worked for, was we were under direct orders to find out what regulations we had, so federal level regulations, even state regulations, not statutes, that either the problem wasn't significant, so we didn't need the regulations, or the regulations weren't effective, so amend them and make them effective. And so I'm still in that mindset, even though I've been retired for some years now. And two sets of our city ordinances that fit into the category. One of them is called the Main Street Mix, Part 3-970 in the city ordinances, and it is to create a special advisory committee on Main Street. Hasn't been utilized for at least 10 years.
Well, it's probably, I don't know about 10 years, but it's been a long time.
But if there is no intent, if there's not a significant problem to have this advisory committee, then I would say let's repeal it. And I'm not calling either direction. This is something I'd like the council to discuss at a workshop and go into, do we really need this thing? And if we do, maybe we should make it a shall. You shall have this advisory committee, and it's not discretionary anymore. And if we don't really need it, repeal this set of ordinances and let's get rid of the ordinances on a Main Street mix. The same also applies to the special ordinances on campaign signs. So at the recent primary election, the violations were too big to count. They went way up too soon, many, and I mean many. And there were a horde of them that were in illegal locations all over the city. And I know staff's overworked and the code officer, and I also have been instructed from the staff, Greg, that it's been downgraded in penalties, an infraction for the signage things to where it just doesn't get enforced. Once again, if we feel there's a significant problem, let's enhance or change, amend the ordinances. And I've already met with a couple towns and gotten copies of what they have to make them more enforceable and can offer some suggestions. But if it's not a hot issue, not a viable problem, repeal the things and get rid of them. So those are two that I'm looking forward to discussing later on.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Jeff. I don't have anything to add to what's already been said here. I think we need to move forward with those comments, from Jeff and from Lyle. Let's make sure that, I don't know what, where we dropped the ball, but let's make sure that when, you've got something that needs to be on the agenda, that you do what Bill said and get it to them, get it to Bill or Cynthia, by the Tuesday before, so we make sure that we can get these on the agenda again, and apologize that we dropped the ball on that a little bit.
The code in the code suggests that if we have an agenda item, that we get it to either the city manager or to the mayor,
Okay.
requesting that we have it in. There's not a time on there, but, if you put in a formal email to a request to the mayor or to the city manager, it needs to be added to the agenda.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it will.
All right. So if you'll do that and give it, get it to them in time that they can review it, and if there's any questions or anything like that, there's time to go back and forth with that. And other than that, we're excited about Hay Days, and it's going to be a great week this week, and appreciate all your service, council, all the time that you put into this. It's a hard job, and making sure we do the best we can for our city. Other than that, I don't have any other comments. We
Make
have
a motion to adjourn and go to the RDA.
RDA meeting. Motion to adjourn, second?
I second it.
Okay, Brett seconded it. Wes made the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, this meeting is closed. We're going into the RDA meeting next. Thank you. Let's take a short little break before we start the
Gonna be that
RDA.
long in it? Well, you just,
I don't know, as we.
I'm
have
good.
just-
Believe it or not, I'm good, but
Well, I'm
we
not.
need a break. Okay. And declare a break.
Declaring a we'd like to welcome everybody out to our continuation of our meeting here tonight. This is the redevelopment agency meeting for July 16th of 2024. Council, I guess we need to have an approval of the agenda. We've already moved into the meeting, so council,
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second it.
motion by Wes and seconded by Brett. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from June 18th of 2024. Council?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Blair made a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a
Second.
Second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, new council business, new RDA business, discussion and consideration of approving resolution number RDA 24-10, committing funds to supplement impact fees for accessory dwelling units, ADUs, and moderate income housing. Bill?
So this was an item that came up as part of the resolution adopted to meet the requirements of the moderate income housing reporting. One of the strategies was to make funds available to reduce the costs associated with accessory dwelling units. And making RDA funds available for that is an excellent avenue, both of using RDA funds that should be set aside for moderate income housing, but as well to not impact our otherwise influence our tax base. So this is a way that we can help businesses, help homeowners and people who are interested in developing accessory dwelling units in their homes or on their property to avoid some of those impact fees. So that's basically what we're looking at.
So just so I understand, what we're doing is we're just going to, we aren't going to be charging impact fees for if somebody wanted to put in an ADU
Right.
on their property, whether it's a basement or if it's a separate dwelling unit.
Correct.
Then we don't charge an impact fee on that.
That's right.
That's what we're doing.
So how, so a basement,
Maybe I misspoke on a
yeah,
basement. 'cause I don't think
isn't
that would be
it, yeah, wouldn't it be a separate structure
I think
off
so,
the
yeah.
home?
I think
That's
I
right.
misspoke.
Yes, that's right.
I misspoke.
If it's an internal ADU, we wouldn't charge an impact fee anyway because that's already been paid. So you're right.
One question on me. It cannot be a verbo or is this for family only, or is this that somebody
So-
can put in an ADU for?
Yeah, an accessory dwelling unit, and I'm not remembering how our code reads exactly, but typically requires an owner occupied kind of thing. And our regulations, I don't remember off the top, but Lindsay, help me out.
Well, didn't the state change the ADU regulations?
They did not, well, they changed some of them, but not related to short-term rentals.
Okay.
Which is a whole separate animal.
Yeah.
What I looked at it, but I can't remember. Code on short-term rentals? We may have to get back to you on that.
Yeah. I'd just hate to prove and then somebody starts turning their shed into a, what's the word?
I think they
besides
have to meet
verbo?
certain codes. don't they?
Airbnb.
Airbnb.
I knew where you were going. And the short-term rentals are, I mean, the entire town of Barcelona in Spain has outlawed short-term rentals. The entire city. I think New York City did something similar, if I'm not mistaken. Just outright ban on it, because the problem is that they get bought by corporate ownership and they're skirting all of the hotel requirements. Anyway, it's a huge mess. And it really, the real problem is what it does to the neighborhoods and the prices of housing, because if you can make more money, and my brother did this, he owned an Airbnb up in Lava. He made more money off of that, and it would only rent like a couple of weekends a month, but he made more money off of that than, well, teaching school in Tremont. So, yeah, they did really well.
Question here, and now therefore is and further be resolved. So for the, if I'm looking at the right one, for the ADUs, this would cover the impact fees, but for moderate income housing, it would be for some, if not all. Why the difference between the two?
Well, for moderate income housing, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. And we may get a revised resolution in front of you based on what I find out, but.
But we're not voting on this resolution now?
Well, it's up for consideration.
You need to get this
You need to resolve this and table it.
But we do need to get this adopted before August 1st so that we can get this as part of our reporting for the thing. And if there's a discrepancy that I'm not aware of, we can bring back a revised one before we get too far into the weeds of actual implementation of it, if that makes sense.
Are you suggesting we go ahead and?
I would,
put it up
we
for
really,
vote?
yeah, we really kind of need you to,
And if we need to, we're meeting on the 30th.
Yeah, if we need to, we can resolve it. But with the reporting's just got to be done before August 1st. So with
Well, that
the
doesn't give
report's
you
all, yeah, the report's already written and ready to go. This was just kind of the last piece of that puzzle to get in so that we can get all of our strategies adopted. And
So this just applies to ADUs.
ADUs.
Okay.
Just ADUs.
But we'll look at the question that you brought up regarding the moderate income housing question, and I'll get a resolution to you on that.
Thank you.
So if somebody has a property and they want to build an ADU out back, their kids are going to live in it and that type of stuff, so what about the neighbors? I mean, all of a sudden, somebody's building a house right next to my property line.
So they're still subject to all of the setbacks and other requirements that are in our regular ordinances. State code really has superseded the allowance and availability for cities to go in and regulate these ADUs. You can charge impact fees, but we're electing to, as part of our moderate income housing strategies, to reduce or eliminate those fees. So
They still need a building permit and all
they
that.
still need a permit, they still need all of the, and again, meet all of the setback requirements and everything else for an accessory dwelling unit or an accessory dwelling or outbuilding, whatever requirements we have that way. But as far as outright prohibiting them,
So the state is directing this.
Yes.
It's interesting because from a lending standpoint, when you get your house appraised, they're going to appraise the house, but any building outside of your house has no value.
really,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And so they can call it a shed, but they can give it $1,000 value. So if you build this expensive ADU out back,
Yeah, you're talking $100,000 or more.
you're not going to be able to get financing on it.
Interesting.
They can only look at the house. That's the way they're set up.
So how are people paying for them in the first place?
They got to come out of pocket with it to do it.
Or can you get a HELOC maybe for that?
You can get a HELOC for that, but when you get a long-term loan,
Interesting.
yep, you can't get a loan.
Wonder if anyone ever thought of that.
I bet they're addressing this too, though. They'd have to be addressing this eventually.
Eventually, but they don't do it now.
This really is being driven by the state, and Jeff and I have a meeting in Salt Lake tomorrow, or North Salt Lake, discussing some of these other finer points on this stuff. So this is just one of those hot button things we just got to do.
I think it's a good strategy, so I'm going to make a motion, we approve RDA 2410.
Motion by Brett. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Blair. Let's see, Wes, why don't we start with you?
Why'd you start with me? Because I guess maybe I'm not understanding it, but
If I want to build a building on my property and put one of my kids in it, I would have to go and pay an impact fee to build that building, and we're just going to waive that impact fee.
okay, but if you build that building and your kid moves out and then you start renting it, or
And I could do
Airbnb-ing
that.
it, you can
Well,
do that.
Airbnb's different. We'll have to see what our code is on that, but no matter what we do, people can still build an
People
ADU.
can still build it.
Yeah. We're just waiving the impact fee.
West side.
Brett, aye?
So the state tells us that this is a law now. Anybody can build an ADU on their property. Yeah, so if we're just waiving the impact fee, I don't have a problem with waiving the impact fee, but I got a problem with the ADU.
We need to,
Yeah.
We have no control over.
talk to your state legislator.
So, yay.
Blair, aye.
So with the commitment that you'll look at the difference between moderate income housing and the ADUs with the potential to change this,
Yep, as
On the
necessary.
30th.
We'll clarify, yep.
then I vote aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks for the deliberation and hard decision that everybody made here, so I appreciate that very much.
I just want to say, but comment, Mayor, if I may. This moderate income housing thing is something that everyone chokes on, and it's not just us, and it's not just you guys here tonight. It's something that I'm going to politicize here just a little bit and editorialize, so forgive me, but it's something that the state legislature has done so that they can appear to be doing something, but they didn't really think things through and get to a place where, for example, the very meeting that we're having tomorrow, they changed the law to require the report to involve entitled units in the city or in the county. But they didn't say what entitled unit means. And there's a discrepancy there, a pretty wide discrepancy between if you have a 20-acre parcel that's zoned for quarter-acre lots, but only one parcel, are you entitled to the lower zoning, or are you entitled to only one lot because you only have one legal description lot? So this is a hot-button question, and Jeff and I are headed down to a discussion with the planners and the league tomorrow at the local government's trust building in North Salt Lake, and hopefully get some direction on it, because, man, it's city managers and planners just been all over the place with this thing. So that's my editorial comment for the night.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for your vote on that. We have one more item, discussion and consideration of approving resolution number RDA number 24-11, adopting the Tremont City Agency Report for Tremont Center Community Development Project Area for the 2023 increment year. So, Bill, do you want to bring us up to speed on this one?
Yeah, first off, these reports are a little dense reading, and I don't blame you if you didn't get into it a whole lot. The long and short of it is that we're doing okay with our RDA, and the report there has got all the numbers in it. We're working to pay back some of the responsibilities and obligations that we took on. You can see one of the charts there, our revenues have not tracked along where we had expected them to be. So we're coming a little short, but we're still able to meet the obligations that we entered into. Otherwise, we're in good shape, and the goals that we have for the use of these funds long-term are going to be in place, and we're going to do some good things with burying the canal and some of the other utilities that will help out in that area. So,
Just a question for understanding, because some of these numbers were just
yeah, that's what I mean.
beyond my understanding. I look on the first page of Exhibit A. If you can go to the bottom of the page, that one right there. So I see $44 million at the bottom, and we started 7 years earlier at $3 million. That's more than a 1,300% increase in 7 years. I don't understand. How does that happen?
Well, that's the targeted number, and the anticipation is that this is the valuation of the property as it increases over time and as development happens. So the investment of the property owners in the property, as well as the unsecured property inside. So if you put in a gym, for example, all of the equipment is that's the non-secured property inside. All of this would hopefully lead to, and of course, it's just a crystal ball look, but all of this would lead to a increase as you see there.
The numbers astounded me.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. You start with something that is basically raw ground, and then you move all the way up through several buildings and like I say, the unsecured property, and all of that adds into the ad valorem. And yeah, it ends up being pretty good.
Apartments too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that
Yeah,
whole,
so that's where a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
it's that whole CDA where it's blue is what it is. And so any marginal increment as far as value increase in any building along that whole Main Street and that type of stuff.
Any improvement or investment in that.
And so the idea was when all those apartments came in, and they came in later than what we were anticipating, and, you know, they thought that that would increase the value down Main Street in that area, 44 million. Well, we're almost there already. The problem is the real estate taxes need to be assessed, and it's got to catch back up to us is what's going on.
And that's really what we've seen with that little bit of a delay there in those two graphs.
And the other thing is, we're not obligated. Tremont and City paid not one penny towards this thing. This is another thing where the developer had to pay for the improvements, and we're simply paying him back with tax
That's what I mean, yeah.
increase. And when he gets paid back, then we get the rest of it. And that we anticipate when this thing actually gets done, that we'll get about
Yeah, it'll
$2
be
million bucks that we can use down Main Street
Yeah.
after the developer's paid back.
That's right.
Maybe I should be more astounded that it's so low in 2016 compared to now.
Yeah, I mean, it was farm ground, right?
Yeah, it was Greenbelt.
Yeah, Greenbelt, so we didn't get nothing from it. Tax.
Jeff, did you have any other questions? Okay, council?
What's the number on it?
It is
Make a
number
motion that we
24
approve RDA 24-11.
Second?
Okay, motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Jeff and Brett. Let's see, Brett?
Brett, aye.
Go ahead.
Lyle Vance, aye.
All right.
Jeff O'Dye.
West side.
Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. One more motion.
I just have a question really quick.
Oh, okay.
On that report,
I know that.
Brett, what? I'm sorry. I just need your attention for just one more second. I'm sorry. This report, I read through it. It's really tough. Would you guys like a different format for that, or is this working for you?
If you can come together with something that's, I think Jeff made a good point. I think all of us, to some degree, struggle with understanding, that report. If you could massage that a little bit and work with it.
I think the information is important to get in front of you, but the way it's packaged is what I want to work on. And so if I can start with like an executive summary that kind of tells you what you're about to read, and then get you into the weeds with some of the finer points and details, that'd be a little easier, do you think?
That's how we'd like to see everything.
Okay.
Executive summary, and if we have questions, we can dig in.
I'm working on a staff report for all of these kinds of things so that we'll have a uniform
Yep.
kind of template that we
Yep.
use for just everything.
Absolutely.
I'm going to roll that out
Thank you.
soon.
Fireworks go off.
There we go.
Thanks, guys.
One more motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a minute.
I do.